Hello, and in today's video we are doing a fantasy football preview for game week 1. That's right, we are locking in our match week 1 team for the new season. I'm looking forward to this one, and we're also going to do a few other things. We're going to be previewing Friday night, which is going to be at Fantasy Football Fest for the first time ever. I'm going to be able to meet the legends of the FPL Twitter community, and today we're also going to do 10 crazy predictions ahead of the new FPL, but also just generally football and Premier League season. So if you do go on to enjoy this Game Week 1 team selection video, do smash a like on it, comment down below your thoughts on the video, and let's get into it. So before I talk about those things I just mentioned, I do want to talk about my main transfer dilemma going into game week 1, right? Because I had this really nice 3-5-2 that I was settled on. Sorry, I say a 3-5-2. What I mean by that is a 5-3-2. And then I realised, oh dear, it's not very flexible. And the key thing across every kind of game week 1 squad is flexibility. Now, you can say, oh, you can't do that, you can't do this, you've got to have that player. But at the end of the day, in game week 1, no player is essential. Now, I usually agree with that, other than Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold. But there are a few players here, of course, I would love to have. I'd love to fit in a Joao Cancelo or a Rhys James or, let's say a Erling Haaland. But come on, you can't fit everyone in. So ultimately, sometimes you have to make sacrifices. But if you are like this and you can be flexible, you can easily get to those players anyway, right? So this is the transfer I'm dilemmaing. These 5 transfers ahead of game week 1. I'm going to be making them right up to the deadline, I can't lie, because it's whether I go with a 5-3-2 with 2 4.5 midfielders of De Silva and Andreas, or I'll go with a 4-4-2 with Nico Williams, Andreas and Archer. So basically there's not a lot of difference between them, but one is a 4-4-2 with a bit of a stronger midfield with that 8 million midfielder slot filled, which is really, really beneficial. Or have one where it's a little bit, big at the back and a bit light at the midfield and the attack. Well, I say light at the attack, it's not, but certainly the midfield. I ultimately have better players in that back 5. So I've got James and Cancelo and Edison. Now, Mendy is not much of a difference to Edison. Ultimately, FPL Twitter and the FPL community seems to be flocking away from Chelsea. But, come on, you're telling me that despite that awful pre-season, no one is going to have either one of James or Mendy for that insane price? Come on. You gotta be putting them a leg. Like, I get people, we've gone off Chelsea, they've not looked great, but still, across the season, or even forget that, across the first 8 game weeks, for that value, they are going to be impossible to ignore. And who would you really want as a 5 million goalie? There aren't a lot of options. Jose Sarr is one of them, but I've already got Neto, so I don't really want to double up on Wolves. You've got Ramsdale, I've already got double Arsenal. Could I go triple? Possibly, but for me, I just think that Mendy's better than Ramsdale. Simple as that. And ultimately, Chelsea have improved their defence. They've brought in Koulibaly. And I know people are like, oh, Rhys James could play right centre-back. He could. But even if he does, he might still score goals. We don't know where he's going to play. If he still plays right wing-back, then maybe I'll go with the side on the left. But ultimately, it is quite nice to know that instead of relying on Josh De Silva to start for Brentford, I've got Nico Williams, who I know will start. I could have Andreas first sub in the 5-3-2, admittedly, but to have 2 playing players with Andreas and Nico is quite nice, rather than just the one with Andreas. So it's really difficult because I've got this good feeling about Gabriel, I can't lie, from Arsenal. He's really good in the box, wins headers, scores goals from set pieces, and Palace especially concede from set pieces. So it'll be a bit hard to go without him. But when I just think about how flexible this team is, despite the lack of big names, it is very flexible, right? Because if I did think, oh dear, what am I doing? I need to get to Joao Cancelo ASAP. It's okay because I can go from Cancelo in for Robertson. Now, you might say, oh, that would be silly because you need triple Liverpool. But come on, the only Liverpool locks at this point in time are Trent and Salah. We can monitor Robertson versus Diaz across the season and then only pick one of those when they confirm who's the better. And for instance, if I wanted to get Rhys James, I could easily navigate that from Diaz. And you can argue, oh well, you've got to have three City for the game week 2 fixture against Bournemouth. Sure, I can do that. Even if Haaland goes up in price after West Ham game week 1, I can go from him after the 0.5. I can get him in for Harry Kane. So I've got lovely options, people, and that 0.5 is so valuable. I don't think ever in a season before had 0.5 in the bank, but with the Haaland thing of game week 2 and a few like transfer decisions still in the air, it's so nice to have that going into game week 2. So my only worry in this team is Kyle Walker. I can't lie, because yes, he should be alright if City don't sign another fullback. Cucurella is not going to City, is the rumours, so that's good. But at the same time, like, do I think Walker's going to play every single 90 minutes, every single week? Probably not. But that's the thing, right? With City, they're such a good defence. If he gets a clean sheet and gets subbed off on like 62 minutes, I'll take it, to be honest. Because a Man City defender, when they're the best defence, and for just 5 million, that is value for money. Just like with Edouard Mendy. So ultimately, I'll take that from Kyle Walker. But obviously, it would be nice to be a bit more assured of starts. And obviously, it will be hard to replace Cancelo. But my thinking is, with doubling up on City defence, hopefully I'll be able to counteract Cancelo with 2 players there. And yeah, it is nice to kind of have that flexibility, because if I ever want to get to a cheap goalkeeper, I can go to a Raya and then upgrade elsewhere. So Mendy's kind of a nice starting point. I know what you're going to say. Goalies are not important. You should spend as little money as possible. But come on, the goalies this season are priced way too low for us to do that. And Raya and Sanchez are tempting, but come on. Why would you have them when you can have Mendy, who, yes, okay, last season wasn't great, but that was mainly because of the injuries they had. And ultimately, like, I think 130 points last season is just a bit of a one-off. He's going to get at least 140 this season, if not be up there with the Alissons and the Edisons. And therefore, he'll be in and around the Sanchez's and the Ryers, sure, but I feel like I'm more confident each week of a clean sheet than Raya and Sanchez. And I know you're going to say, what about save points? Well, yeah, but do I want to have a goalie from the better team? Yes. And do I think that it's worth it when you compare to Jose Sarr at the same price? Yes, I do. So, look, ultimately, Jose Sarr last season, he did get more points. And I understand what you're saying there. But at the same time, like, why wouldn't you just have the better team? Like, across the season, with no injuries, just imagine how many clean sheets Chelsea can get. And that'll put Mendy up on a pedestal above Jose Sarr, even with Sarr's save points. So that's the way I look at it right now. At the end of the day, don't overthink the goalkeeper. But Mendy as a starting goalie is so nice. And Danny Ward as well. You know, he's going to be my 4 mil locked in, because Schmeichel's left and it might be a battle between Ward and the other Leicester goalie. Now, admittedly, they should probably get in a number 1, but who knows? Ward could play, that could be lovely, and he's got some nice fixtures. So I'm not saying benching Mendy's probably going to happen, because I don't like to bench and rotate goalkeepers, but there's always an option there if Mendy for some week got injured and I couldn't find the funds to move him on. So yeah, it's really flexible, I can't lie. It's tempting. It's about, do I want the better 11 or the better squad? And, you know, to start a season, I think flexibility is key. So I think to also have that 8 million slot. Now, a lot of people have been saying, oh, these 8 million midfielders, they're overrated. And I kind of agree with you to an extent. Like Saka, you're just going to pick Jesus with the ownership of Jesus. It's just, if Saka's on pens, then fair enough. But ahead of game week 1, I'm just feeling Jesus way more. And like Martinelli's too good in terms of value to ignore. Now, I get Martinelli's a risk, but Smith Rowe's been nowhere near in pre-season. So, you know, that rules out one of the 8 mil mids. You could go for a Mason Mount, but then you kind of think, are Chelsea that good? You know, do I really want a Mason Mount? I'm not really that convinced. And Kulusevski, again, as with Martinelli, is a bit of a risk. But the reason for that is, if I'm booking in this transfer for Haaland game week 2, because, come on, the FOMO will be too much against Bournemouth to not have Triple City and have Haaland. I get Haaland could get injured, and then I would have 0.5 still left over. That's brilliant, because then I don't have to move on Kane. But ultimately, you know, that Chelsea fixture is not that appealing. However, if I did go to Haaland, then I'd still have Tottenham cover for the first few game weeks, because their fixtures are still very good. Like Wolves in game week 3, they've got Nottingham Forest as well. So to have that Spurs cover is going to be really nice. And Kulusevski, I know a lot of people say Richarlison's going to take away his minutes, but I just don't see Richarlison starting most games. I think Kulusevski will start, and it will be Richarlison will come on. But that's like with every single player this season because of the 5 sub rules. So I don't think Kulusevski's minutes will be that different. And I think people are massively exaggerating it at the minute. Obviously, I'd love to get a Spurs defender, you know, one of Perisic or Doherty, but, you know, I just worry about that minutes even more than Kulusevski for me because, you know, Spurs can rotate in the Champions League. They don't necessarily have to rotate in the Premier League in terms of strikers. But in terms of defence, they've got way more options than they have in attack. You look at, you know, Emerson Royale, you've got Reguilon, he's probably going to leave, but they've just got so many options. Doherty, obviously back fit, Perisic, and they've now bought Jed Spence. So the options are endless, and we know what Conte loves to do. He did it at Inter, and it's rotate those wing backs. So Perisic, as good as he will be, I'm sure, I can always get to him by downgrading Diaz later on in the season. So I'm not going to get him straight away just because I wonder how he'll settle in. And that's what I think about kind of at the start of a season. Don't take too many risks with new signings. Now, as you'll see here, I've only got one in my team, and that is Jesus. But that's because of his ownership, and it's also because he's done so well in pre-season, and also he's playing for a good team, and he's proven in this Premier League. Whereas Perisic, Haaland, you know, all these players that are shiny new toys and are tempting, we could always move to, but right now, I'm going to go with the reliable assets. And it does pain me to see no Cancelo there, but that's the debate to weigh up. Do I go with this team on the right-hand side, or do I go with these ones on the left-hand side? And to be honest, people, I'm going to ask the people at Fantasy Football Fest to see what they think, because it's so down to the wire that I just don't know right now whether the 5-3-2 or the 4-4-2 is best suited. But let me show you like what my team would have been. So obviously in my game week 1 lineup, my team would be this: Mendy in goal, then Walker, Robertson, Trent and Diaz, then Martinelli, Kulusevski, Salah and Neto, and then Jesus and Kane up front. And then obviously the bench, Ward, Andreas and Archer and Nico Williams first sub. And then my original team was a 5-3-2, as I mentioned, with Edison in goal. I mean, look at that sexy back six. That is unbelievable, including the goalie. And then it's just that lack of the 8mm mid that I'm a bit worried about. And I can't lie, like, I'm just getting cold feet on James because Chelsea have been so poor. Hence why I moved to Mendy. But, you know, that's a very good team as well. So it's just the lack of flexibility with those two 4.5 mids. That's why I'm thinking possibly switching to the other option. But that's the first bit of the video covered off. I think I really do like this Game Week 1 selection though. And I'm happy to present it to you guys. Kane against Southampton's got a great record. Neto, he is a bit of a Twitter hype, I can't lie. But he's Portuguese and he's playing Leeds and Fulham in the first two. So, come on. It's the best option for 5.5 million. And he's much better than Guimaraes and Wissa and all those other 5.5 options, because the fixtures are just not great and Wissa is just not that nailed on to play. So I think Neto's nailed, especially with Jimenez out. It will hurt Wolves' attack, but I just think he's the best option. And fixtures wise, only Spurs in Game Week 3 gives me any worries. So really nice team in my opinion, but which one I go with, that will be found out later on down the line. So yeah, hanging by a thread. Don't forget my team league code. That is key because it is a banging one. Sky Sports League. Oh, hello. Didn't even realise I'd joined that. We'll take it though. That's come out of nowhere. Crazy. Alright. Whatever. I don't even know how that's done that. I don't remember joining that league. But anyway, we move. Yeah, the league code is, as you can see here, people, it is 69FEQI. You've got very, very little time to join it because I'm tempted to close the league entry this year. But just because I'm nice like that, I'll leave it open for at least the first game week so you can register by at least the start of game week 2. But do join and share with your mates. Let's get FPL Yellow Army's Loyal Legion League up and running. So that is the majority of the video. I just want to quickly touch on Fantasy Football Fest though. I'm so excited to go. It's going to be a great night. I'm going to get so many pictures, and on a future video I think I might try and kind of review my time at Fantasy Football Fest and show the highlights. I'm going to be playing guest a player with FPL Juice. I'm going to be in the quizzes, doing the football quiz, and obviously hearing the team reveals from Mark Southerns and the comedy from the legend that is Fantasy Football Ed. So it's going to be great. I can't wait, and hopefully it will be a great night where we can watch the Arsenal game and see Jesus hit a hat-trick. That would be a great way to start a new FPL season. And then the last thing I was going to do in this video, I was going to squeeze a few things in, but we're going to leave it at this here, and that is 10 crazy predictions for both FPL and for the Premier League. So one basically works out the other. So my first crazy prediction of the Premier League upcoming season is that in the month of November, there will be 10 managerial sackings. I know, big call, but that's going to really impact stuff because it's ahead of the World Cup. It's going to be a long period off without managers, and that will be really interesting for FPL because it will throw selections into chaos with new managers coming in. So watch that out for FPL. My second crazy prediction is that by game week 3, Jesus will be owned by 83% of the game. Now, as it stands, he is at an absolutely ludicrous ownership at the moment, and that is currently 71.9. I mean, come on. This guy has got to be the highest owned player in FPL for game week 1 of all time. And very, very close, I think, because I'm pretty sure it was 72% for Mo Salah last season of all time for any game week for ownership. And there's still 3 days at the time of recording until the FPL season kicks off. So, wow. That guy, unbelievable. And if he blanks against game week 1, he's going to go down in value. So watch out for that. But he's just one you don't want to go against. Jesus, as they say. So that's crazy prediction number 2. Crazy prediction number 3, though. And that is, there will be no 4.0 Lundstroms, Dallases, call them what you want, budget defenders this season. And I don't think there really was last season. With Livramento, he only had a couple of game weeks where he was okay. But honestly, I don't think this season there will be any of them. Now, I say this with Nico Williams in my team. Of course, I hope Williams does become that option. But I just don't think there's good enough players in those positions. And I don't think they offer enough from a kind of out of position basis. So that's a sad note. But it's not really a crazy prediction. It's just a kind of pessimistic one, I suppose. But it is crazy because we usually find one across the season. Number 4 is that by game week 25, okay, I will be in the top 20k. All right? Big call, I know, but I've got a good feeling about this season. I've got a good feeling that I can get the dub, win FPL, and get the number 1 champion prizes. And I think it's going to be a long haul for a season. But by game week, whatever I just said, I will be whatever I just said. So yeah, roll with it. Number 5 is that in game week 3, I've got another game week 3 one. In game week 3, there will be a 4-goal haul for a Liverpool player. I know, and you're going to say, surely not, against Manchester United. But honestly, I reckon that's what's going to happen. And then the next prediction is that in game week 38, the final day of the season, I will be playing a chip. Now, I don't know what chip that will be, but I'm booking it in now, people. I know it's a crazy one, but I'll be playing a chip in game week 38. Who knows what? But that could be the moment I win FPL. Unbelievable scenes. And then the next one, I think we're on about 6 by now. You get the gist of it, really. My next prediction is that KDB will outscore Erling Haaland. Now, the reason I say that is De Bruyne is proven. Now, no doubt Haaland's going to be unreal, but KDB gets the extra point for the goal, the clean sheet bonus points as well. Like, KDB is unreal, so don't doubt the Belgian. Haaland's unbelievable as well, but that's what I think. The next one, I'm going to say that the best value defender in the game for points per game this season will be Rhys James. Now, I currently don't own him, but for 6 million, I think he can match the output of James and Robertson. Oh, sorry, he is James, but the output of Robertson and Trent and all those kind of good defenders. Honestly, that is a joke of a price, okay? My next prediction, though, is that we will see the next 4.5 forward come through and score goals. And you're going to say, who is that, my friend? And I'm going to say it, Cameron Archer. He's in my current team. He's going to stay there. I think he's going to get a few games for Villa and get a couple of goals. And for a 4.5 forward that doesn't usually come around in FPL, that would be unbelievable. Okay, we're going to just leave it at the next couple of predictions because I'm running out of time. But the first one is that there will be an amazing 55... No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Chill out, man. No. By the end of the season, not 55, there will be 12 million managers in the game. Now, right now, as we talk about this game, there are 5 million. It's expected to go up to around about 10 million by game week 1. I mean, maybe not by this rate. But I think by the end of the season, 13 million is what I'm going to now say for the final total amount of players. Because the game is increasing in popularity. And my last crazy prediction, sorry for it not being 10, but it has kind of whistled out a little bit, but it does the job for me. And that, my friends, is a general football prediction along with all of these crazy Premier League predictions. And that is that the title will be won by Liverpool and the winning goal, so book this in for your FPL teams, will be scored by Luis Diaz. That will be unbelievable because obviously he's not favoured as much as Robertson in that Liverpool triple up. And, you know, only signed last season. What a moment for the Colombian to win Liverpool the title. Thanks for watching my Fantasy Premier League preview and team selection for Game Week 1. And also some Fantasy Football Fest preview and some crazy predictions. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.